Google just launched Firebase Studio, and people are going wild saying that it's going to kill Windsurf and Cursor and Lovable and all of the platforms that can help you build your own applications using vibe coding. And I think that it's not true. And I'm going to show you exactly why during this video. So in this video, I'm going to show you a couple of different things. First of all, I went over the documentations of Firebase to really start understanding how it works and what is the different capabilities. So if you just saw a couple of videos talking about the basic features, this one gonna be a bit different. I really want to show you, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, how you can use this platform to create better applications, because there is some use case that you can use this application for. So I'm going to show you exactly which is this use case and how you can use it. The first thing I actually did was literally going into the documentation and figuring out what is effective prompting from Firebase perspective, from the documentation perspective. And I just took all of this information and the prompts that they gave here, and I went to Gemini and I gave it to him and I told him, build for me a prompt for 3 different applications. The first one is very basic, a simple idea. The second one will be a bit more complicated, and the third one will be much more complicated. I wanted to see how this tool handling 3 different applications prototype. So I'll just copy the code, I'll go back to Firebase, I'll just throw it here, and just for the sake of understanding, this is the user interface. It doesn't look like the regular Google user interface, which is nice. You have your workspaces here. You can prototype an application with AI, so you can just put all of the information here. And if you want, you can start from a base of an app. So you can just choose which language you want to start from, or even import from Git repo and start. So what we're going to do is start with a prototype with AI. And something which is really nice when we start prototyping with AI is that because it's using the latest Gemini model, the 2.5 Pro, it's extremely fast. It's very fast. If you are using Cursor or Windsurf and you started using it, it's extremely fast even in those platforms. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to give me an app blueprint. So link Vault. So as you can see, what I asked in general features was create a simple single-page web application called Resource Hub to act as a centralized directory for important business links and resources. So if you are a solo entrepreneur or a small team and you need a private, organized way to manage and access key internal or external links, documents, and tools, this will be for you. So what it does first, it creates this blueprint and it understands what are the different features we need to have within these applications. For example, categorizing resource display, resource creation, resource editing and deletion, real-time search, AI-powered category suggestion. Then it gives you the style guidelines, so like the color, the layout, iconography, some animations. And if you're good to go, you can just prototype this app. If you want to change something, you can change here. But let's just, for the sake of this example, start prototyping the app. As you can see, again, it's extremely fast. It runs on all of those different pages. It writes them very fast. What's amazing is that you have 1 million token window, which means that there is a lot of context that this specific AI model can consume in one go. So you can just imagine that his perspective of what you can give him and how he can build his world as an agent can be very productive for future products. I've been using Gemini 2.5 a lot within Windsurf and Cursor to build my own applications. And now, as you see, the moment it finished, it checked for errors, and now we have a ready application. So it's very basic. Like, I understand that this is the beginning of this Firebase and it's still in preview, but you can see that the design is not really impressive and it's a very basic application. Now, something cool they did is that you can integrate the auto-generate for Gemini API key. So I can just auto-generate it and it will provide me an API key. But if I'll ask it, for example, and I tried it before, I wanted to integrate a multi-agent SDK, the multi-agent SDK from OpenAI. It doesn't know how to do it. It's very closed system. It just works with Google tools. So all of the AIs that you can integrate here is just Google. If you go to Cursor or Windsurf and you want to work with a different model, you can choose from DeepSeek to Claude to OpenAI to Gemini. It gives you a lot of different opportunities that you won't have, at least for now, within this tool. Maybe in the future they will integrate this. So now that we have, let's see if I'll give it a title. So I'll just take this actual Firebase effective prompting. I'll just copy it, and this will be the URL, effective prompting, how to write effective. So how to write effective prompts with Firebase Studio, and then the category, so we don't have any, that will be AI, and it doesn't even add the category, so yeah, it did add resource. So yeah, so as you can see, just save the link, and it's not that good. Let's be honest, it's not that good, and that was the very simple example. So something else that we can do, which I think it's really cool, you can press here on this painting and it gives you the option to paint. So I can just show him here that, for example, so I can just tell him here, make sure it's in the box, start drawing, and it will actually send it into the chat with make this change, and let's see if it will actually, if it will do the change. It does show that it writes and deletes some code from the page itself, and no, it didn't really work. So as you can see, I don't believe that this is the competitor for Windsurf and Cursor and Lovable, where you can actually create much more complex applications with the first prompt. You can integrate a lot of different tools, which you can't really do it here. And even when I talked to it before and I started seeing the code base itself, one of the main things I see, especially if you go to the Firebase documentation, you can see that it's just gonna work with GenKit. So if you are trying to work with other stuff, you won't be able to do it. Now, there is a lot of stuff that you can actually do with GenKit. You can create multi-agent systems, you can create flows, you can create RAG, you can use some tools and you can have tool calling, but you won't be able to create a very robust application. And I would say that like some of my workflows are, I will go to Lovable or Replit, I will create an application and then I will actually move it using GitHub to Windsurf or Cursor and start working on this. Now, it's much better to do it with them than actually do it with this. Because as you can see, it's not that I've been building something unique here or something that blows your mind. Now, another way to work with Fire Studio, which I think is really nice, is that you can start a project from a specific language. So if I'll just press on XGS, I can tell it my app is, it's the resource hub, and I want to use JavaScript, and yes, use the SRC, and I'll just create this. What it will do is it will create a workspace with the language already in it, which is nice. It's like you can start the workspace with the files you need based on the language you choose. But again, it's not that you start from a ready application. So it saves you the time that it will take you to start writing a project on Windsurf or Cursor, and it will save you the time of creating all of the index.js and like the config and packages and installing the packages and all of this. So like this already created all of the files and it's ready for you to start working on this project, but it's an empty project. So there is nothing behind this. If I'll run it on the web, it will just be hello, name, John Doe, and that's it, nothing else. So again, I don't think that we even need to go and see the other use cases because the very basic one, it didn't really nail it. So I would keep on using Windsurf, I would keep on using Cursor, I would keep on using Lovable, I would keep on using Replit. I don't think that this tool, Firebase Studio, really give a fight to any of those. Yes, it looks a bit the same. Yes, it uses Gemini 2.5. And in essence, when we think about it, the only difference between those platforms is that this tool is free because you can use the API calls from Gemini without paying. But when you start scaling and you use more and more of the API calls, you will probably start paying for them. As I said, you can have those 4 different models, and whenever you do it, you will need to get a Gemini API key, which you will start paying for when you start running this and start building something robust. So honestly, I'm not that impressed. I'm sure that they will keep on building this and it will be better and better. but I hope that it won't be a closed ecosystem just for Google products, and it will be open to include and integrate other products from OpenAI, multi-agents, different SDKs, MCPs, because all of those things are not really fully embedded into this application right now. So yeah, this is my 2 cents on Firebase Studio. I hope it helps. If it does, check the link in the description. We have a community in school of founders and entrepreneurs that are building using vibe coding and AI agents, applications, automations, agencies. All of us are business owners, entrepreneurs who are trying to grow a business and scale the business. Some of us are already growing, some of us are already scaling, and the goal is to have thousands of founders together to build this proximity to other entrepreneurs and power the force of having thousands of entrepreneurs together in one space meeting around the world. This is unimaginable, and all of us using AI. So imagine how much knowledge we will be sharing within this community. If you want, we already have some classroom courses on vibe coding and AI agents and marketing, because the emphasis is on business owners and founders and entrepreneurs. So if you want, check the link in the description. And until next time, ciao.